This episode of RSR is brought to you by Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Atom Audio, Spectra 1964, Grace Design, and Picker. These are tools that I use every day in my studio, from the Spectra 1964 STX 600 and Native Instruments Complete 15 to Isotope Ozone and RX, Atom Audio monitoring and headphones, and the central hub for my studio, the Grace Design M701 audio interface. Check out my studio profile on the Picker app on iPhone or Android and follow the sponsor links in the show notes. Grab my free mixing course at mixmasterbundle.com and remember to like this video and subscribe on YouTube because it's a great way to help support this show. Now, get ready to rock.
One big thing that helped me transition was in 2015 when Uptown Funk came out.
Yeah.
And that's actually a Mark Ronson song featuring Bruno Mars. And most people just think it's a Bruno Mars song.
Right.
Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
But it's on a Mark Ronson album, and he's the main artist. And that was kind of the first time I saw a big producer do that wasn't like a DJ or like a dance, like Calvin Harris or one of those type artists. They're doing EDM music as a producer artist. And so it's like, oh, he's doing funk music, but he's just the producer and making the track and getting the artist to write with. It's like, well, I can do that.
Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. Rockstars, if you want fresh song ideas, Complete 15 from Native Instruments has the tools to kickstart your creativity. With Contact 8's Chords tool, you can generate and customize chord progressions instantly for songwriting. And the Phrases tool gives you ready-to-go melodic inspiration right at your fingertips. With 165 instruments and over 150,000 sounds, Complete 15 helps you turn blank pages into music. Pair that with a Complete Control keyboard or Maschine hardware for seamless integration and hands-on control. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, Rockstars. It's your host, Lid Shaw, and welcome back to Recording Studio Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is Ryan Prewett, a Nashville-based artist, producer, and mix engineer known for blending classic funk, soul, and synthwave with modern pop production. As both an artist and a collaborator, Ryan creates music that combines the nostalgic warmth of vintage sounds with fresh songwriting, smart engineering, and positive energy. Growing up in a musical family and as a trained classical pianist, Ryan honed his craft playing keys in church and local bands before earning his recording industry degree from MTSU in 2010, my alma mater too, man. Nice. Since then, he's built a thriving career in Nashville as a producer, mixer, and session keyboardist, and currently tours as the keyboardist for Billy Ray Cyrus. Ryan's music has been featured in hundreds of sync placements with brands and platforms like HBO, Hulu, Lifetime, Hallmark, Instacart, Jameson, Whiskey, Tillamook, and Walmart, earning over 6 million streams. I think it's 7 million streams now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Across digital platforms. Amazing. He also composes authentic funk and soul sample packs for RPM Music Library, TrackLib, and the Sample Lab, and it continues to collaborate with artists out of his Nashville studio. Please welcome Ryan Prewett to Recording Studio Rockstars. Ryan, hey. Are you ready to rock, dude?
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here, man.
Thanks
for being patient while we got everything rolling. Lots of little buttons and things to work on. Welcome to Ready to Rock Studios. Tell us about yourself, man. You've done a lot of cool stuff. There's a playlist of your music in the show notes, Rockstars. You can check that out. It's like just badass track after badass track. I would describe it as a lot of it's probably a curated playlist that I'm sharing here too, but I would describe it as very upbeat, a lot of positive energy and positive songs. A deep knowledge of disco, sort of the disco meeting. I guess you called it synthwave or something like that. It's sort of like computer music creating disco in a way, and instruments, but and then some great singing. But
Which is not me.
It's not you?
No.
Oh, you're not doing any of the singing. Okay, I was curious. No. I wondered if you were doing some of it too. But you work with some really great singers.
Yeah. All the songs, most of them feature other artists. And then some of it's instrumental.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard any of that, but
I'm not sure if I caught the instrumental tracks. I may have mostly heard vocals on it.
The ones that are more popular are usually the singers, the ones with the singers.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's something about people singing, right?
Yeah, if you can find a good singer.
Right, exactly.
You can do a lot.
It's kind of remarkable how it's like, I don't know if you had to learn that lesson, but I did. One day I realized you just wake up one day and you're like, if it's a great singer, then people might like this recording.
Yeah. I got kind of burned out on just doing projects for hire as a producer and realized I needed a better portfolio to get better artists or better singers or just people I more wanted to work with. And so I started making funk tracks because that's what I was into.
Yeah.
Like modern pop funk and that kind of stuff. And just got some artists that were friends to feature on them. And then I realized, I can just be the artist and feature other artists and make the tracks and have more control over building a portfolio of stuff I'm proud of.
As opposed to just sort of working for hire for other people.
Yeah, like whoever will hire you. And if you don't have a portfolio of good music, why would better artists want to hire you? Like, why would they know or feel like you're worth contacting or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was initially I just wanted better artists to hire me. And then I eventually realized I liked being the artist and just having the control to try to make money with the music, because a lot of artists I was working with weren't really doing anything with it. Just get paid, and that's a lot of people, especially in Nashville. A lot of stuff's just work for hire. So I gradually, probably over the past 10 years or so, shifted more into doing more projects that I'm an artist on, or I at least have a stake in and am more invested in than just a work for hire type project.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Yeah, I mean, just listening to your playlist, I felt like it was very carefully put together. It's got a very distinct sound in a way. And it even made me write a question. Where did I write that? I wrote down a question. Oh, yeah, to style or not to style musically, a little nod to Shakespeare there or whatever. But, the idea of like making a choice to make songs in a particular thing. How much of that is conscious? How much do we just do that when we go in the direction we like anyway? Have you had a chance to make like all kinds of different directions of music?
Yeah. When I started, or when I graduated college, I wanted to be more of a pop producer, kind of like the Max Martin type of the time. And I was pursuing that and doing a lot of co-writes with pop artists. And a lot of it, they just weren't even finishing it. It just kind of felt like pointless. It was a good way to meet artists and just kind of community in Nashville and that kind of thing. And then one big thing that helped me transition was in 2015 when Uptown Funk came out.
Yeah.
And that's actually a Mark Ronson song featuring Bruno Mars. And most people just think it's a Bruno Mars song.
Right.
Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
But it's on a Mark Ronson album, and he's the main artist. And that was kind of the first time I saw a big producer do that wasn't like a DJ or like a dance, like Calvin Harris or one of those type artists. They're doing like EDM music as a producer artist. And so it's like, oh, he's doing funk music, but he's just the producer and making the track and getting the artist to write with. It's like, well, I can do that. And most of my favorite music is old soul and funk from like the 60s through the 80s and synthwave and just all the retro groove type music.
How does that change the process though? So for example, when you do work for hire, somebody says, I want to hire you. So then they just pay us money for a song or an hour or a day or whatever it is that we've chosen to do. And if we choose to do it as an artist where we're collaborating with people, maybe describe what that looks like more so we can get a better understanding of what that means. Does that mean you sort of put the money somewhere else? Or do people sometimes do that, but still get hired by somebody? How do we even think about that?
Yeah, I still do some projects here and there, work for hire, or somebody might hire me and I'll charge a fee and a small percentage of the master, kind of like a traditional producing contract would be. But I'm doing less of those projects and focusing more on the other projects that I'm invested in more.
Like what's more invested for you these days?
Like the songs I've released, like the ones you had on the playlist.
Yeah.
And also I got into making sample packs, which is a totally another thing that I've
your shirt is related to that, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is kind of my company
what does
merch.
It say? It says collaboration
Beats
competition. Nice. And RPM is the label?
Yeah, that's the sample pack company. It's called RPM Music Library, but that just stands for Ryan Prewett Music, which is my company. Cool. So like overall company.
And what's that funny looking box with the buttons on? I've never seen one of those before.
I think it controls Ableton.
Is that
no, it's an MPC.
Is that more of an MPC?
Yeah.
Which era though? 60?
I think it's like a 2000, but I'm not
2000.
I'm not really used a real one.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. So you're making music more as an artist now. And does that mean that you can find, cause you're doing this for a living too. It's not just a hobby or something. So I hope it's a fair question to talk about, like, how do you make a living doing stuff like this? So as an artist, is that through things like publishing deals? Is that through the actual income from streams of music, and you just make really great music and just really bust your ass to get it out there? Because you do a lot of social media. You work pretty hard on that too.
Yeah, actually, I don't do a whole lot of social media. Recently, maybe I've done some more, but
you do.
I don't have a lot of
followers.
I don't have like a lot of followers or anything.
Okay.
I haven't built up a big.
All right, so that's less of the important. Although I guess you still have to promote. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, I still promote it and treat it like an artist project.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ways, or there's several ways to make money as an artist, and just kind of, for me, just finding the ones that work for me, or where I can.
What are the just for listeners too? What are some of the ways that you look at and consider, and then you're like, well, I'm not interested in that one. I'm not interested in that one.
Well, if you can do social media, especially if you're a singer, like I'm not singing, so I can do like cool track videos and stuff like that. But usually the artists that really kill it on social media are singers that make good content and have good songs and all that. So that's a big way I've worked with.
Can I keep breaking that down? Like,
sure.
What does that mean? How do you make money on social media doing?
Well, I've worked with a few artists, or at least a couple artists that have done well making money from social media, and they mostly, first you have to build up a following, like a pretty big following. I don't know what levels or like,
let's just pick 100,000.
Yeah, or some, and then they can get money from ads, especially on TikTok. I know at a point, especially if you get a viral video on TikTok, can make money from that. And then also brand, or like, what do you call it? When you
brand sponsorships, brand endorsements kind of thing.
Partnerships, I think they're called a lot. Yeah. So that type of thing. And just, if you just keep doing that consistently and you're building that up, and that can grow and be a big thing. And
do you know artists that do that, and do they sort of manage it themselves, or are these artists that also work with managers and just let that part be taken care of by somebody?
It could be either. The ones I've worked with have done it themselves and built it up. Yeah. But I'm sure if they got to a point, they would get a manager if it made sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's one way to do it. We can set that one aside. And to your point, like if you're making cool tracks, because you have made some really cool Instagrams. I saw some where, you show how the loop's going together. But I guess to your point, it's like, and that is appealing, maybe not on the vast scale that singers and social media is in the same way. And it's appealing to people like us who make tracks, right?
Right. It's not as appealing to just, I guess, normal people, you would say, that are consuming music.
Yeah, I mean, like young girls.
Like. Yeah, or
I mean, that's the market. That's a huge market.
Middle-aged women on TikTok that want like emotional pop songs or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it does kind of just attract this, which is still cool because it's still building a community or being like finding other producers and artists. I have found some artists I've worked with that aren't local, like on social media, just from making videos or just kind of being there and talking to other people.
Yeah. Well, I actually connected with you through social media. I saw some stuff you were doing. I was like, this is badass.
Yeah. So more for me, the main ways that I can make money right now is from sync licensing, and the sample pack. And for me to make content, the way I see it now is more to attract sync companies or just anybody in the industry that would see that, rather than like fans that are going to stream my music.
And is attracting a sync company, is that like having a company like Epidemic Sound just reach out to you and say like, hey, we want to work with you, build a library?
It can be that a company like that could reach out, or somebody that is an artist that needs a producer that works with a company like that and needs to collaborate. Just anybody kind of that's in that industry that might connect the dots somehow.
Is it also a publishing deal where like it goes in a TV show still, or a film or anything like that? Or is that a totally different way that happens?
Yeah. So that's all kind of merged and overlaps now, which is kind of messy and no one really knows. I don't how to sort it all out. The way I got started in sync, there are some companies that do what's called micro sync licensing. And that's the companies, I think Epidemic Sound, I've never worked with them, but I think they do micro sync. The big companies are Music Bed, Artlist, Soundstripe is one that's located in Nashville that started here. So that they do, their main target market is like YouTubers and lower budget people that need music, but you can't just put anybody's song on your YouTube video. It gets flagged. So they have a library of stuff that it's low cost to use, but there's so many people you can add up.
Right. Yeah, totally. Different model. What was the name of the third one? The Nashville one again?
That's Soundstripe.
Soundstripe. That's right. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's good to know about those things. And I know about Epidemic Sound because as somebody making YouTube videos, I was like, oh, I should probably just subscribe, and now I can just use
So you are the end user.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super active in using it. I'm probably just keeping it.
When you're paying somebody's royalty.
Right, exactly. Rock stars, if you want your mixes and masters to translate everywhere, iZotope Ozone 12 gives you the tools to finish with confidence. The new bass control helps you see and balance your low end and punch. Unlimiter brings back life to overcompressed tracks, and Stem EQ lets you rebalance vocals, drums, or bass using only the stereo mix file. And when it's time to get loud, Ozone's new IRC Maximizer gives powerful, clean masters without distortion. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off.
The biggest one that I started with is called Artlist.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought I wrote down Artless, which I was like, it's funny. But Artless makes sense, yeah.
And I found them, they started maybe 2017 or around in there, and they were a new company. And somehow I found them, and I had a few songs, like I hadn't done anything with no sync licensing or anything, but I had already started collaborating and found kind of my funk thing. Mm-hmm. And I just sent them a bunch. I was like, hey, do you want to put this up? And at the time they were building their library, so they just took everything I sent. And now it's, if I send them stuff, they're way more selective. They don't always take everything. And mm-hmm. a lot of these companies are buying masters. They kind of like the Netflix way, like Netflix makes its own shows, mm-hmm. as well as has other shows on Netflix. So, but a lot of them are going more in the way of buying masters, which I have sold some masters before.
What does that mean? That means like you're really turning over your work to somebody else, and they know.
Right. It's like almost like a work for hire
right.
situation.
It's just you've already made it.
Yeah. And most of the time there's all kinds of different contracts, and it's kind of hard to navigate sometimes without a lawyer. But
right.
Usually you keep your writing credit if you're a writer. So if it does get a big sync, it can happen like a TV placement, mm-hmm. and there's back end royalty, you can still make some royalties.
Right. So
but you've given up the master rights, have full control.
Right.
And
because when in sync, Rockstars, if you may know all about it, but if you don't, sync means synchronized to film or TV. And if you get a sync use on something, then the two things that are always considered is, well, what's the writing amount? Usually it's like half and half or something, right? So half goes towards the copyright holders and half goes towards the master owners, which was essentially who owns the recording.
And is often the same people.
Right.
But it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it's easier if it is.
And then that whole thing you're talking about, it gives you negotiating power. It's like, okay, you can have this half, I'll have this half. And, you know, as we learn early in the music business side of things, it's like, well, you know, 100% of zero is still zero. So 50% of something that's actually making money is better, you know, than the other. So it's always a balancing act. And then also I would imagine, you know, for somebody like you, you're very prolific with making music. So if you want to talk about that too, you know, do you feel like you learned at a certain point, it's less about being precious about a thing you just made and more about making a whole lot of music?
That is exactly, that's the way everything is now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only way to get ahead in it, I think. I've worked with a lot of really good artists that are precious about things. And in one sense, it might take a long time to get a project finished.
Right.
And if you're doing a lot of projects, you obviously spend months on every song.
Yeah.
Or they're so precious about it, they don't want to give up any portion of it. Or like I've worked with artists that didn't want to split a master with a producer. They just wanted to own it all.
Right.
And hire me or whatever. And there's kind of short sight because if I don't want to do that, like they don't have any, I mean, they can find somebody else, but yeah, a lot of people do get precious about stuff and kind of just need to get it done and move on.
Yeah.
And the good thing about finding a niche, like I've kind of found this retro influenced pop funk stuff, I can just keep making like, I know how to make this stuff fast. I can come up with new ideas, but it's still all in the same genre. I'm not trying to make a ton of different tracks at this point,
Right.
unless I just want to make something different. But
Right.
like for the most of it, I know what works for me. That, like you said, the upbeat stuff.
Songs to start with, when the drums come in, the snare goes,
Yeah.
I heard at least a couple, I was like, oh, sweet, man. That's like a signature fill to
That kind of, and also like a lot of the sync stuff I get is ads, because upbeat music obviously works better for ads.
Yeah.
And I don't get like moody Netflix shows and stuff, but there's people that do that really well, or do cinematic orchestral type music or whatever. And I think a lot of people are just trying to do everything, find what you're good. Because also, like, I'm passionate about all this retro stuff, and it's just kind of like turned into a brand and like just what I'm doing, when I kind of left everything else behind that I wasn't doing well with, or I was trying to pursue. And I used to produce a lot more country in Nashville, and still do sometimes, but not a whole lot. And I mix a lot for other producers. I do a lot of pop country, or just any kind of country and pop stuff for some Nashville producers. And that's work for hire stuff that I can keep income coming in.
Right. Mixing is sort of lends itself to that.
Right.
Because you're not really doing that. You're not really making the production statement at that point.
No, but I have done a couple mixes where I just took a percentage of the master, and that can work if you if you make a team and you find an artist and a producer. If you're just a mixer and they're prolific and they're putting out a lot of stuff, then they're good. It's really like you believe in it.
Yeah. And
it can get money from sync streams or whatever, or the artist already has something going on. It can be well worth doing that if you can afford to do some work as an investment. Yeah.
Well, the other part is just a reminder to us. It's like those times where you're mixing only and that's your role. It's like, unless you were doing that to the detriment of the other things you wanted to do, like, no harm done. You're actually, what's the harm in it just improving your mix chops so that you're a better mixer every time you come back to one of your songs,
Yeah. And I enjoy mixing. I've always wanted to be a mixer.
You're
also,
clearly good at
it.
Like,
I'm good at certain genres better than others. And a lot of
that reminds me, I need to ask you some good mix questions too. So, it's cool hearing you talk about that, like switching. Well, it's good hearing you talk about that work for hire thing, the going in a little bit in every direction. There's this expression. It's like if you, I don't know, you just kind of picture a sphere or something like that. And if you try and go a little bit in every direction, you just end up with some stubble around the sphere. But if you do all your focus going in just one direction, you've got a skyscraper or something like that. I guess that's, I don't know. It was a strange analogy. It's like the earth or something,
Yeah. I think there's a risk to it, which is the hard part. Because if you're starting out, like in Nashville, let's say you're starting out, you're doing a lot of country demos. You're like, maybe I could work my way up, produce a big country record, but you don't really care about country. It's a big risk to like do another genre or create a brand of something that takes a little bit of work and some time to develop and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did. It's like it's like, I look at it sometimes and like, I live in the best place in the world to be way into country music. Like, this is it. Like, if you love country music and you just want to make country music all day, there's no better place to be. And I'm like, that was just never for me. I just wanted to do indie rock,
Yeah. I like it. I've always liked working on country music if it's good. And I've played with country artists on the road, and that's fun. Like, I like it. Also, when I realized like this funk thing could work and I could find there's not really many people in Nashville doing this, and everybody wants to produce the next big country record. So I was like, I don't want to just like grind my gears to maybe someday get on a big record.
Yeah.
Which,
and it's cool because, you position yourself. So like, especially as people know you for what you do, then you start to be the person on their mind, and, somebody comes along, oh man, we need to get we should work with that dude, man, Ryan, man, he's funky. And he works with that other guy, John Radford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about him. He's a buddy. I remember seeing him play drums, with a ensemble. I forgot who he was playing with it, years ago. Maybe it was like Kevin Gordon or something like that. I don't know. And he was playing, and I was like, that's a funky drummer right there. And then I saw that you guys are working together. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, we've been friends for probably a couple years. I've always known him or known of him.
Yeah.
Since I've been in Nashville, and I don't remember how we met. Probably 2 years ago. But we became friends. Oh, I host a soul night every month.
Oh, cool.
At a brewery called Living Waters Brewing.
Like doing DJ stuff?
No, it's a soul night with a live band, and
oh, cool.
We usually have a featured artist, and we learn the songs like a house band, and it's usually like soul or R&B, like soulful country stuff, like stuff leaning funk, whatever. So he was playing drums with us for that. Maybe first met him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we became friends, and I got into making sample packs, and I was like, we should make a break sample pack, because like he's the guy. He's got all these quirky old drums that sound awesome and weird, and like, so that worked out, and we had a lot of fun. We did that this year.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I remember feeling that way about wanting to do stuff like that. But as soon as I started to dabble in, I realized I'm like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to turn these into samples. But like, what kind of samples do I make? All that. But you've got experience using samples, right? So when you thought this idea up, did you sort of have a vision for like, okay, it's going to look like this. This is where these sounds end up, and this is how they could get used?
Yeah. So the way I got into the sample stuff about 2 years ago, there's kind of two different ways that the sample stuff is used. One is like somebody samples a song, like it's the actual song. You would usually get a percentage of the derivative work and so that's what I really want to do, is create like basically albums of old sounding music that would be useful for sampling. And there's a website called Tracklib.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest site for sampling that type of stuff. You can just dig through tons of tracks, and there's some big artists. There's even like Isaac Hayes and bigger old soul artists and all kinds of stuff on there. But the price is a lot higher. Use it.
Yeah.
And then
and do you get access to the multi-tracks with any of these things? Or
so I provide the stems. They're stems.
Yeah,
they're not every multi-track, but yeah, they can license the stems. So the first project I did, I made basically an album of 70s soul, cinematic soul. And I basically wanted to just make something that sounded like Shaft.
Right.
Because I was real into the 70s, that stuff at the time. And I was wanting to get into the sample stuff. It's like, I'll just compose these songs. So it's basically 10 compositions. And there's vocals. I wrote some hooks, like stuff I would think could be sampled for like a hip hop song, or there's a lot of other genres. I've had some of it sampled for like music and house disco and all kinds of that stuff. So I
make individual hits and like individual samples, drum samples, part of it too. Usually.
Well, not that. So those projects are really just composing and recording an album, like you would, with intention that this stuff is useful, hopefully.
Right.
And so there would be like maybe a hook on the vocals in the intro, but in the verse there's like no vocals, but it's like a cool vibe instrumental. And then there's a chorus that may have a vocal, or it's just, there's like no rules or anything, but just kind of feel it out and figure it out. I figured it out as I went. But that project had live horns, live strings, band singer, like full on. I was like, if I'm going to do this needs to sound like a 70s, like a real 70s record. Cool. So I made it and just didn't really have an outlet yet. And my goal was to get on TrackLib, and I just went on their contact page on their site and was like, hey, I made this. Is this like what you're interested in? Like, I didn't even know if they would reply. And they're like, yeah, this is great. So they took it. There's another company called the Sample Lab that hit me up after they saw, like on Instagram or something, I posted that I made this pack.
Yeah.
And they license, they're a little smaller company. And then they also license samples. And so those companies started working out. And then I was seeing how it actually worked. And like, so I was like, yeah, I need to keep doing this. And then I made a reggae pack last year. It's like a 60s, like old school reggae.
That's fun, man.
Yeah.
Dreaming of a career in audio or the entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs where you'll learn on professional-grade gear with industry pros, learning through real projects, not just lectures. Explore studio production, live sound, audio for film, and a whole lot more. Or take the entertainment business program to learn about contracts, promotion, and more. With diploma, associate, and bachelor's programs, there's a path for you. Book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. Too bad you didn't get a chance to see the studio when I still had my old console, because I had an MC. I mean, I guess it technically hadn't really done reggae, but it was an MCI, one of a kind, that was their Criteria studio. So it did like all the Bee Gees records.
Oh, nice.
And it did Hotel California, but it also did Eric Clapton. So it did I Shot the Sheriff for Eric Clapton.
Cool.
Not quite as reggae version.
Where's it at now?
I sold it to Retro Gear Shop.
Oh, cool.
So Mark's got it right in East Nashville. Yeah, it's probably still available there, you know.
Yeah.
It's got a great sound. And then we made a plugin too called the MBSI plugin.
Okay.
So it's got that channel strips. It's got that sound with Make Believe Studios.
Cool.
And Metric Halo. Check it out, Rockstars. Well, groovy, man. That's cool.
So those packs, they're basically albums. They're on like on TrackLib. So if TrackLib licenses those tracks, there's a fee, like a small fee. But I also get a percentage of the recording they make with it, based on how long the sample they use.
How do they keep track of all that? They just see how much sample you download or something?
Well, yeah.
Or is it just the robots are that smart now?
I don't know. It could be the robots, but the artist or the producer that uses it is obligated to report stuff to TrackLib, and then they sort out all the accounting. And I guess it's a little bit of the honor system, but also if a song blew up and you knew it was you could track it down.
Right.
And
that system probably works because in order to be a user, you probably have to jump through the right number of hoops and KYC or something like that with
right. So which is cool. They take care of all that stuff, and I get notified when songs are released. And I've saved like a Spotify playlist of probably about 60 to 70 songs by now. Some of them, cool. Yeah. Some of them are like awesome. Some of them are weird. It's like you never know.
We're all using your stuff.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's just like,
that's pretty wild.
What are people doing with this stuff? So it's been really cool. And so that became a thing. I was like, I really want to build this up. And then
it's interesting because that's a way to collaborate with other musicians, even though you don't meet them.
Yeah, it's an awesome way to collaborate and basically just contribute your part, and then you don't have to record the singer.
Right.
You don't have to do it. You just make your sample and send it out. And but TrackLib also, they made another part of their site that is a royalty-free, like loops and one-shots, like a traditional. So they started that, and they hit me up. They're like, hey, do you have any stuff like this? We're going to start basically kind of like Splice type thing. And so I didn't. And I was like, well, I should start doing that. And that's like when John and I made the loop pack for the breakbeats. That's all loops. That's not like songs. And one shots of his, we use 3 of his kits for that, or 2 of his kits, and then I have a Slingerland kit. But I've made a few packs like that are loops and one shots. But those are royalty free, so you just get the download fee or whatever.
Well, there's it seems for me it's easy to wrap my brain around the track lib concept, where it's like we just make a song, and then all we have to do is bounce out the stems and turn it in, and there it is. I'm guessing that the stems have to all be identical length to the master mix. There's probably like requirements around that.
Most of the work with all this stuff is just the busy work of file management, because there's so many files. You got to make sure everything is right. You got to make sure there's not a click at the end of or just it has to loop. Yeah. There's a lot, which I could probably automate some things if I spent some time with some, I don't know, just like bounce butler or whatever, like those type of things.
Yeah, and Bounce Factory does that. And
I actually need to look. I might ask you for some.
I had somebody on recently who was talking about doing all that with Keyboard Maestro.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that was yesterday. Where he said he had a buddy who created a script that would do that. So he just lets it take care of it. So it's all doable. It's all, somebody has to put in the hard work to design the automation that allows that to happen, but it is doable. I haven't had a requirement to do, I'm just like lucky if I remember, I should do a no vocal mix too, on this project, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a lot of the time. And that's like a lot of what would keep people from doing this kind of stuff is just the work.
Yeah.
Because it's not all fun. Just sit there and export like 500 audio files and make sure they all work correctly. Sounds like you need an assistant, just focus on the music and somebody can help take care of that or something like that. Yeah, I've thought about getting an assistant or an intern, maybe from MTSU.
Mm-hmm. That's where I went. 95, that's when I finished.
Wow.
Kind of a different place now. When I went to go look at it again, when my daughter was touring colleges, I remember going there and driving around the campus, and I was like, wow, the campus is big. Look at all these big buildings. And I was like, where's the recording building? The RIM building, isn't that what it was called? It's probably they probably call it something different now. They called it the Recording Industry Management Building.
Yeah, that was there. That was when I was there. It was the Mass Communication Building.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I got there and I'm looking around. I'm like, well, where is it? I can't find it. And I was like, wait, is it that tiny brick building that's right over there? That brick box with no windows on it? Because, they've built these enormous towering things and it's all glass and super, deluxe and modern. And then I realized, I was like, well, of course it's got no windows. It's a studio, but it's full of studios. I just never even occurred to me when I was going to school there that there's no windows on the building hardly. But it was cool to be back, man. And it was such a great experience. It was really fun to go from not knowing shit about any of this to a school where everybody I hung out with was there to study this stuff, learn about it. Some people were real serious. Some people were less serious. Some people were like losing their mind over trying to get through Algebra 1. And, for me, it was round 2 of college. So I was like about 4 years older than my classmates, which is also a little weird sometimes,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us about your studio, man. What kind of stuff is in your studio? Does it have a name now? Do you like to call it something?
I've been calling it RPM Studio just because that's the name.
Yeah.
My business is called Ryan Prewett Music LLC.
Yeah.
So I just call everything RPM.
It's good. I feel like RPM shows up somewhere else in the music world too. Where do I hear about that?
Yeah. I don't know if that's
Are you 45, 78, or 33 and a third? Which one are you?
I don't know. I guess whatever they're not. But yeah, I call it RPM Studio. Or people started calling it that because I have my name on the door. It says RPM Music.
I just figured it's because you're sampling vinyl, man.
it worked out that way.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Or you'd be digging that. I'm sure. Have you've done, that's been part of your path too, is trying that out, or not necessarily?
No, I have some vinyl that my wife also has some vinyl. We used to listen to, we don't even really listen to it now.
I guess that really goes way
But,
back, pulling your loops and samples off vinyl.
I've never really sampled vinyl or done that.
Especially now with, tools like Splice, you could just kind of audition, right, and start working with what you want. And then how about, so you use a lot of like digital controllers, you use native instruments and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I have some vintage gear, a lot of vintage keyboards, some player, and I've collected all the funk stuff. I have a clavinet, Mini Moog, Worley, Rhodes, Hammond, an Oberheim, Prophet.
Right on.
So, yeah, it's kind of everything I could ever want to make.
Have you been tempted by the knockoff brands, the Behringers and stuff, or are you usually just like, I'm just going to get the real deal?
Well, I kind of already had them before all that stuff came out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I didn't have, maybe I wouldn't be against it if it sounded.
Who knows? Yeah.
Like I'm not. But yeah, I've accumulated a lot of that stuff in the past 10 years.
Are you an 808 guy too, or no?
I don't have a real 808.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, cool. So then what about the layout of your studio? Like, are we talking a writing room? Like you just turn around and there's your instrument or turn around and there's your mix setup?
Yeah. So it is more like that, but it's a pretty big room. It's over the garage. So it's like 20 by 20-ish.
Okay, cool. Wow.
And it's all one room. I have a drum kit in there.
Sloping ceiling, like vaulted ceiling kind of thing.
Yeah. So I can track a rhythm section for 5 people pretty easily.
Yeah.
In there.
I think I've seen on your Instagram, you see the drums are right there too. And you play drums as well?
No, I don't play drums.
Right.
But yeah, I'll record a lot. I'll record drums, bass, and guitar, and maybe keys together a lot. And then I have enough space to do like a horn section, a string quartet. That's kind of the max.
Yeah.
Or like a few singers if I'm doing some background vocals, like for sample pack or something like that.
But not all at the same time.
No, not all at the same time.
What kind of things do you track at the same time?
Bass, guitar, and drums a lot. I do have a cab isolated for guitar.
Okay.
In the attic. So that's worked out well.
Like one of the little doors that kind of goes into the attic space right off the...
No, it's...
above.
So the studio's built by Niles, a guy in town that's done a lot of, especially studios that size and bigger ones and a lot of spaces at this point. But he built out the room after we bought the house, and he stripped it down to the studs and pretty much did everything we could without like building structural stuff.
Right.
So there's mass loaded vinyl, there's a channel and clip thing where it's kind of like a room within a room ish. And then there's 2 layers of sheetrock with green glue.
Yeah. And
then he did the treatments on the outside for like the 703 or whatever.
Right.
And the clouds. So he designed the whole thing and built it out. And I had him run some wires while I could do it, because I couldn't do it now. I was like, if I need to run any cables out of here.
Right.
So we have a good attic space that's kind of separated from that room in another part of the house. So that's where I have an ISO cab.
Right, because if you're doing a one-room studio, the wires just typically run across the floor or something. Sometimes you can do a little chase under the floor and come back up on another side and do it like that too. Yeah,
so most of the wires are ran in the room. We have a spare bedroom next to the studio that I had him wire up with like an 8 XLR panel and Ethernet. So I could use those as a booth or like another little tracking room.
So over Ethernet, you mean?
No, there's an Ethernet port just for like a hear back, to plug in a hear back, but the XLRs are analog.
Or they're already running, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking to Phil Wagner about that, about, the concept of using Ethernet and just over a Dante box, and you can kind of go at just about anywhere and do an ISO room. He was saying it's kind of cool. He said you could, have multiple mics that go into a box and then Ethernet to the control room. And at the control room, you can actually listen on your speakers and control all the levels too. You can send the headphones back over the Ethernet to the musicians so they're hearing what's going on in the control room, and you can hook up video. And so you can actually have video feeds that are like low latency, I guess, along with the audio.
Yeah, you can do a lot with Dante. I guess it would depend on like the converters, because you're converting,
right?
Which would be an endless debate if it matters. But
well, I don't think you convert it and then reconvert it back unless you record a certain way. But I think you just literally get a really high quality box or whatever, and your converters are right out there next to the.
Yeah, I guess that makes. Yeah, I guess that's.
Hey, rock stars, writing and recording your next great song just got a whole lot easier with Complete 15 from Native Instruments. This powerful toolkit gives you everything from deep sound design to instant musical ideas. Contact 8 introduces creative features like the new Chords tool, letting you generate and customize compelling chord progressions without needing to know music theory, making it perfect for songwriting. And the Phrases tool helps you find fresh melodic lines on the spot. With over 165 instruments and more than 150,000 sounds, Massive X, battery, and Guitar Rig 7 Pro, you've got everything you need to create in any genre. You can shape your ideas into real music fast. Whether you're sketching an idea or finishing a full production, Complete 15 keeps you in the creative flow from first note to final mix. Add your Complete Control keyboard or Maschine hardware to the mix for seamless integration and hands-on control. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, rock stars. We're back now for the jam session, aka the second half of the show. My guest today is Ryan Prewett, joining us here at Ready to Rock Studios. And Ryan, are you ready to jam? I know that's confusing, whether we're rocking or jamming. Are you ready to groove, to funk?
Yeah.
What do you guys say in the studio when you're doing funk tracks? What's some of the language that's different from every other session?
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you quantize?
Sometimes it depends.
Some stuff's on the grid and some's not.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff varies. Some of it's more live band, like live drums, and like we're more like
someone's got to do it. That one felt a little more.
Oh yeah, that was more live. Yeah,
actually live, like a live show,
instruments,
or just live instruments.
Live instruments. So those I don't usually quantize. Like you don't want to quantize like a break drum, unless if they need quantized, get somebody else to play it.
Right, or better yet, you just quantize the grid to the breakbeat, and then everything else locks to that.
Yeah, I've done that. Like did the mapping or whatever.
How do you do that? You just use Beat Detective and have it sort of map the tempo to that?
Yeah, I think so. And
it must do, I guess other ones, Ableton. So like what DAW are you usually in? Is it Pro Tools? Did you find yourself, leaning towards Ableton too, or not necessarily?
Yeah. So I started using Pro Tools in like 9th grade.
Wow.
I had the first inbox, that one, those blue.
Yeah.
And
I still got one.
The Focusrite preamps that actually
still
were
got the piece of orange tape that holds the bottom together.
So I got into that in high school, and I started learning Pro Tools pretty early.
And where was that growing up for you again?
I grew up in a small town in Missouri called Dixon, Missouri.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't know if I know. I wonder if I do know Dixon. I know St. Louis is like my second home.
Oh, okay. It's very small. It's in the Ozarks, kind of near.
Would it be on the way to Springfield?
It would be between St. Louis and Springfield.
I stopped there and I hit the music store. I've got a guitar, an F-hole guitar.
Oh, maybe you went to like Rolla. There's a town called Rolla.
Maybe it was. Yeah, it was like the guy who ran the Music store was also the mayor or something. He told me.
I don't know what town.
This is awesome.
But yeah, Dixon's a little bit off the interstate. It's a very small town.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
But yeah, my dad had one of those Roland digital recorders, like a VS880.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school, and he would dabble with that and record his friends, and he played guitar in local bands and at church, and just like kind of in the town.
Was he into music? Did his interest in music influence yours at all?
Yeah, most of my family was into music. My brother was a big influence. I have a brother who's actually 15 years older than me, and he did recording and very good piano player and a singer. And he was actually a music teacher for several years. And he helped me a lot because he was a lot older than me. And he got me into MIDI. Like, I think he bought me my first MIDI interface with a serial cable. And he showed me a program called Freestyle that was just like a MIDI composition.
I wonder if I know that one or not.
And then I would download MIDI files off the internet because people would put together like a whole Stevie Wonder song or something. And I could see all the MIDI parts and just mess with it and then like make my own stuff.
And would that help you learn what all the parts were too? And
yeah, it did help. Together? Yeah. And you could also like learn how to play the parts easy.
Yeah.
So it was cool. So that was like the first thing. And that was probably about the same time my dad had this digital recorder. So then I would record my friends on that and just mess around. And I played in bands like in high school and middle school and that kind of stuff.
I was going to point out and we had mentioned, I had brought up Native Instruments earlier, and my, complete keys. I think that one, if you play the MIDI through it, it lights up what the keys are.
Oh, cool.
I think so. Okay. I know it's got the little lights on it. I'm not always looking at them, but I think it lights up the keys. So like that literally could be like, oh, that's where that chord is. Oh, that's where that chord is, which would be pretty hip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, continue on. So you were doing bands and stuff like that too.
Yeah. And my brother, he helped me get into Pro Tools because he was using that. Yeah, like a 002, I think. And he was teaching at a school in St. Louis. The town's called Ladue.
Yeah, I know Ladue. Yeah.
And he was teaching at a middle school that had a recording class, which was pretty cool. And he taught like the MIDI stuff and some like audio recording, and also taught choir, I think, and just like a music teacher that did all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And he was recording his own music. And
he was the cool teacher.
Yeah. And so he was doing that, and then he's got me into He's like, you should learn Pro Tools probably, or somehow. You know,
he was like, he forgot to tell you that it gets a little more expensive as you get older.
Yeah. Well, it got cheaper because back then you had to get a DigiDesign interface.
That's true. That's right. You used to have to buy
a 002 or 003 was like $2,000 just to have like an 8-channel anything that could.
But it was awesome also
good.
At the time.
I mean, it wasn't even like a good I guess for the time it was fine. But,
well, you just send it up to Black Lion Audio and they do the mod,
which is more money. But
that's true.
But yeah, I started using Pro Tools.
Yeah, my first thing was like the 001. You know.
Okay.
I made a ton of records with it.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't even know what other sound might be possible. I was just like, I'm making records. You know, this is great.
Yeah, it sounded better than a Roland VS880. So,
and we did that too. There was a band I was producing, and they had this. I think the 1680. They might have gone from the 880 to the 1680.
Yeah.
But I remember like I didn't spend a lot of time recording on it with them, but they would have their demos, and I'd come and listen to the demos or help them export it and stuff like that. And then Doug Lanzio is another producer here in town, great guitar player. And he was making like brilliant recordings on a 880 or 1680, I think.
Wow.
He just really cracked the code and got really cool sounds. And he did sort of like rock, Americana stuff. Really good. Okay, groovy. Continue. So
reason we started talking about that, just about Ableton and DAWs. So I started learning that so early. I was really good at it. Like by the time I got to college and I started doing like MIDI stuff in it, even, which Pro Tools back then especially wasn't good for like MIDI position. And I was just used to it and got fast at it, even with like the limitations. And so I have Ableton, and I've used it off and on and try to like learn it.
But you just know the MIDI.
Yeah, I always
tracks
come
in
back
Pro
to Pro
Tools.
Tools because it's just quicker for me.
Yeah.
If I need to do something fast and just get it done, like just know. So I need to spend more time because I know a lot of stuff I do Ableton is better. Like it's way
designed for.
Designed and awesome.
I love Ableton, but to your point too. I mean, I've been on Pro Tools since the 90s, so I feel like a good takeaway is, you learn. In a lot of ways, it doesn't matter which one you choose because you just learn it, because in the end, it's just it's just having that be an appendage of your brain that is the thing that counts. And there are features, and there are, some things will operate more quickly and other, on this, that, the other thing. But I mean, just picking one and then learning it like crazy for years and years. And it's really awesome.
Yeah. The way, like, when I see like a young person or like someone really like in college, or the way they use Ableton, or if they just, it's like they just come up with a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
And it's just fast, and the way they think about everything is probably different than us thinking about it like Pro Tools or Logic and then trying to do it in Ableton.
Yeah. I had to sort of retrain my brain around it a little bit. And I dabble and learn a lot of the different ones just because I'm fascinated by it. And it's nice to be able to talk about it on the show and stuff like that. But in the end, I've learned that you want to be able to just get to the music, not get to the manual, when you're working. So you'll default to something. But I've also learned that sometimes, like when I'm just demoing a song myself, and the pressure is not really there, and I don't need any advanced techniques, I'm like, that's the good time for me to go try a new DAW, because all I have to do is just hit record, maybe punch in or something like that. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you around the drum pack thing, that, like the stuff you do with John and RPM samples is, do you, so, and to the topic of native instruments again, so Complete or Contact, that's something that you use?
Yeah, I've used Contact for a long time for a lot of different stuff. I've used like native or the session horns and session strings. I usually use those when I write parts, and sometimes keep it, or a lot of times print the music and have people play it. But those,
right.
I've even used like the 60s drummer in Contact to make like rough kind of what I could make out of a funk beat or something with keyboard. And
right, because if you've got a real drummer coming later,
that
might be the thing to do. But if you want to make sure that everybody understands what it's supposed to be. Now, I would say like a lot of your tracks also feel like programmed drums, a lot of the disco stuff. It's very, very precise sounding.
Yeah, a lot of the more modern sounding pop leaning tracks are programmed drums, which I use Maschine for. But yeah, just kind of depends on the song. I kind of go through. So
you do use Maschine, the controller. Okay, groovy.
Yeah. I kind of go through phases where I'll want to make some music just sounds like the 60s or the 70s and use a live band and get my friends together.
Right.
And then I'll go through some phases where I want to make more like just pop stuff that's more just me by myself. And then maybe.
How do you think about Uptown Funk? Do you think about that as a lot of live music playing, or do you feel like that's like this great amalgam of live sounds that get very precisely placed?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I've from what I've heard of the stories about that song, it took a long time to make it because they just kept honing it in so it'd be perfect. And I think they went through different horn sections that before they settled on the right horns.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is live instruments, but very precisely produced. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to Gautier?
Yeah.
You remember the story around that? It was all, I think it was programmed first, and then he recreated all the sounds with real instruments as samples or something like that, and then re-recorded it that way.
I think I remember hearing that.
Yeah, fun ideas. I've played around. I made my own sample. Not really a pack. I just went up and took my iPhone or something, and played every key on my xylophone, and then took it down and loaded the samples. And I was like, I want to make lay this out on the keys, and it was really fun to do inside Contact. Have you ever dig under the hood and kind of understand how it works that way, or are you more inclined to start with an instrument that's been made and just start learning how to use that?
I've never really made like an instrument plug-in or like anything in Contact. I've gotten in there to try to adjust things and figure out, but I don't really know.
Now, what about when you make a sample library? Do you think about it? Like, how do you deliver a sample library? I mean, we learned about the tracklib way, and then what about the hits? How did you even refer to one hits?
Oh, one shots.
One shots. Yeah. How do you refer to that? Or that is how you refer to it. I mean, how do you, what is it? You're starting with something and you're doing a thing to it to get it to this point, and then and then you're like, okay, I'm done. And so I guess what I'm asking is, does that involve going all the way into a Contact player or some other equivalent and, lining everything up so that you just jump on the pads and go? Or is it more like you create sounds that people can just take those samples and use them however they want?
So far, it's just been making the audio file, like the wave. So if it's a drum sample pack, like I sampled my Slingerland kit and made a dead disco drums pack, which is super dead retro sounding kit. So, and
do you go for things like different velocities of the drums?
A little bit, not so much. I'm not what I've done so far, I've not tried to make like a velocity layered kit where it sounds like you're playing a real kit. It's more for like pop type producers that are looking through kicks or snares or whatever, and they just want that one shot.
And half the time you like in that kind of production, you're like, I do not want to hear two snares hits sounding different. I want that.
Right.
Trying to get that thing, that punch, and it's there every time the beat comes around.
So like, in that pack, we sample maybe 3 or 4 snares, like some 70 like superphonic acrolite and stuff like that. And maybe I did 4, like a medium, a hard, a soft, I don't know, like 4 different levels.
Yeah.
Just for different sounds.
Right, because you might like one sound different.
Yeah, so there are like kind of like velocity, but it's not made to be like a plug-in that's doing all this like round robin, whatever, like selecting samples randomly and stuff.
Yeah, it can be useful to have a few variations when the drum fill comes around. Sometimes, that's the one place I remember noticing that.
Yeah, and a lot of like Maschine is when I program drums. Machine's good with the velocities where if you just use the same sound and you just do a fill and the velocity's different, it sounds kind of realistic.
Yeah, because you can do filters slightly different on each thing too. You can treat each sound a little.
Yeah.
The same sample can get a slightly different treatment depending on how you hit it, right?
Yeah. So that's more of like target of the producers and people that would use the stuff I've been making.
Hey rock stars, when it's time to finish your music, iZotope Ozone 12 gives you the powerful new tools to master with confidence. The new bass control helps you balance your low-end EQ, sustain, and punch so that your tracks translate everywhere. Unlimiter restores clarity and impact to overcompressed mixes, and Stem EQ lets you rebalance vocals, drums, and bass using only the stereo mix file. When it's time to push loudness, Ozone's new IRC5 Maximizer delivers clean and powerful competitive masters that stay open and musical. And with an updated mastering assistant that guides, not decides, you can move faster, make better decisions, and stay fully in control from start to finish. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. So talk to us about how you use Maschine, though. Do you think, because Maschine, there's a couple, I have the Maschine Micro, which is essentially a MIDI controller to talk to the app in the computer. And I really taught myself how to use it. I have to, with all these things, if you don't use it often, you sort of have to keep, remembering where you left off. But that's fine. That's what we do in the studio sometimes. We keep revisiting things until we really lock it in. But but it was very cool. Like, I liked the way, a lot of the button controls here, you didn't have to look at the computer. Your tempos, finding a thing, looping it, all that kind of stuff was integrated. And do you have the full size?
No, mine's a micro.
Oh, yours is a micro
pretty
as well.
old. I've had it, might be 10 years old, like a micro 2 or something.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at. And so how do you interact with it? Do you use it in a way where you don't look up at the screen, or do you find that you do a lot of stuff on the screen and you're just kind of playing the beats off the pads?
I use the screen more and kind of use it more like a MIDI controller.
Mm-hmm.
I used to make loops and kind of run it in the software, which kind of works like Ableton a little bit. But most of the time I'm just using it like on a MIDI track or an instrument track in Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the mix, like the mixer and the way you can load the samples in the plugin and the effects they have built in, and I've gotten fast at using that, and that's mostly just stuff I do with a mouse. And then I'll play the pads because that feels better than the keyboard, but I'm not doing a lot of like menu diving and stuff on the Maschine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was just always curious about that. Like when you get the full size, just carrying it into the living room with headphones and just working the beats there and then bringing it back into the studio, stuff like that. Do you get into or do you ever get curious about the experimental side of recording too? I mean, when you're doing retro funk, some of that is experimental. Some of it is just like looking for an old school sound. Actually, before I even continue with that question, let's just go there, man. Talk about some of the ways you like to record stuff in your studio. I mean, what sort of microphones do you decide are groovy for the drums? And I've seen drums in photos of your studio, but as not a drummer, do you just feel like it's smart to have a house kit so somebody can just come over, sit right down and go?
Yeah, definitely to have a house kit. I have a specific kit that when I decided to get a drum kit, I was like, I need a 60s like Slingerland or maybe a Ludwig or something like that. And has a 20-inch kick, so it's super like funky 60s. But it's a Slingerland kit, and I just leave it set up. I leave it mostly mic'd up. Pretty much everything in my studio is just mic'd up and ready to go. Yeah. And because when I'm working on all this stuff, I want to be able to go to stuff quickly. Yeah. And everything, even like my synths are all like hooked up to a little line mixer and everything just ready to go, and kind of like plugins. Like it's just turn it on and use it.
And I don't patch line stuff or anything special.
It's a radial, the rack mount radial.
Okay, cool. And that lets you just have knobs for levels of things or something.
Yeah, it has a level. There's an aux in, so I have some pedals.
Oh, cool.
Or I'll switch out pedals on that, and then I can put that on all the synths as I want. Also, it has 4 channels, and I have 3 stereo synths, and then my stereo Rhodes goes into that. And like I have a chorus pedal on the aux that I can put on any of those.
Yeah.
And sometimes I try other pedals or.
Do you ever run synths through distortions and stuff like that? Distortion pedals?
Not much synths. I do with my clavinet and Whirly.
Right.
Like I use fuzz pedals, and I have a Princeton that I'll track those through sometimes and just use the gain on the Princeton. Sounds really good on the clav.
Do you just put the Princeton right in the room with you, just right next to you, and just mic it up and go?
So I kind of just use it as a head because I have the ISO cab in another room, and if I just want to play, I'll just use it in the room.
What's anything special about the ISO cab?
It's just mic'd up, ready to go.
But I mean, is it like a particular one where you're like, this thing sounds great?
Yeah, it's a 112 with a Celestian Gold.
Okay.
And it does sound really good. I just kind of happened onto it a long time ago and kept it. But yeah, a lot of guitar players really like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty universal. And
I have one random 12-inch cab that I love the sound of too, and I don't even have a clue what speaker's in it. I just hope I don't blow it.
Yeah. But yeah, so usually even the guitar, if a guitar player comes over, they just use the Princeton. It's just hooked up to the ISO cab.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of just plug and play, and I play a little guitar. I'll track guitar sometimes on stuff, but I don't go around in Nashville saying I'm a guitar player.
Right. Well, you got some great musicians to work with.
Yeah.
It's also kind of fun because then you're hanging with somebody in the studio.
Oh, it's totally fun, and it's going to be better than if I'm doing it. So once in a while I'll play if I want to, or if it's some simple stuff that I'll just do this.
Well, I also think it's related to, that statement you just made, like, it's going to be better. Sometimes I'll play. That sort of implies like, well, who's playing the guitar? But I think what we forget sometimes is like the power of two minds. Like somebody's playing guitar, but you're just listening.
Right.
Like
just
that's really powerful, and the more I put myself in the hot seat of playing music and as a musician, and then come into the control room, the more I realize I'm like, holy shit, a lot of that time I'm not in there listening to something, or I'm doing a session with my band and literally nobody's in there making any engineering or production decisions. And when I do that, I come to the realization, just how fucking valuable it is what we bring to a session when we are engineering and producing, just like somebody's paying attention, somebody's noticing when hey, try this, or, whatever, or adjust the sound or move the mic.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of when I do like work for hire projects for an artist that comes to me, sometimes I don't mind if there's a keys player, because like you said, I can listen. Like I don't have to play on the record if they want to get another keys player, and I can produce that keys player and actually hear what's happening. And especially if we're tracking like a band together and I'm not trying to play and produce. So yeah, it definitely just to be able to listen. So a lot of times it's a luxury, because if an artist is hiring me and I'm like, no, let's pay another person to also play, it's like, that's not
right.
But
yeah, I rarely get to just be a producer on a session.
Yeah.
I've hired an engineer in the past for some things, and it was like, honestly, it was so great.
Yeah. I did a Christmas album this summer for an artist, and we went to Sound Emporium, and he brought a piano player that he likes performing with, and I was like, this is awesome. So I just produced, and we had the whole band in there, and it was actually fun to not have to play the piano. And
there's a lot you can do when you're just producing and listening, and you can be super involved, and you can walk around and getting people's, this, that, this here, that thing you're doing.
Yeah. And I still got to like play some organ and stuff on.
That's fun, man. I love playing organ.
Yeah.
Talk about organ playing. I mean, with the pop stuff, maybe it's a little bit more go for it, all draw bars out kind of sounds or something. But have you, I feel like for me, I've discovered that really good organ, the more I put on my mad scientist hat, and the more I'm like, when I'm playing, the more I'm just like doing all this like really dramatic, kind of thinking, the better it ends up being in the track. I mean, as long as I hit the right chords and, do the right thing. But like,
you mean like changing drawbars while you're playing?
Versus just one static setting and then just playing some chords.
Yeah, it depends on the song. But yeah, that definitely can add. That's how like a real gospel Hammond player plays. They're constantly changing
the Leslie's,
all the drawbars, the chorus knob, like they're changing everything as the song changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like a organ play like I have friends that are real organ players.
Yeah.
But I have a Hammond and a Leslie, and I have foot pedals, but I can't do the foot pedals really, which I don't need to.
Right.
But like a real organ player should be able to play foot. If you're like, I'm an organist. So
I don't think I've ever had anybody actually play the foot pedals on a organ, because I'm usually doing a full band thing. And it's like the last thing we need is anything competing with the bass.
No, only time I've done is with a gospel organist. And, during a section when the bass isn't playing or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do play a lot of organ, like funk organ stuff, and like 60s meters.
Oh, meters are so
like
great.
Yeah, just fun stuff.
How would you describe funk? What is funk to you? What's different about funk than other styles of music?
I think it's just the groove, real main thing. Sly is one of my favorite artists.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was some famous quote, forgot who said it. It said James Brown invented funk, but Sly perfected it. And it's just like he built on the grooves and stuff that James Brown kind of invented. So I think it's mostly the groove.
Does a kick drum belong on all four beats in funk or no?
I mean, probably not. But I mean, funk is a pretty wide.
Yeah. With the modern, what's the sort of modern funk you're doing? Does that really lean towards the EDM, 4 on the floor?
Yeah, or like disco, like a lot of 70s disco or modern.
That
might 100%. Be more, which is still funk or funk, but
yeah,
it can. I've had some of my sample stuff that sounds like 70s disco. I've heard some cool tracks. People use it for house, like modern house disco with 4 on the floor, and use some of the my stems mix. It sounds awesome. So
that's fun.
I don't know how to define it aside from the groove. Mostly.
Have you heard your music in a big club setting?
No, that would be cool.
Right. Yeah. What about things like immersive sound and Atmos and stuff like that? Is that a place you dabble yet?
I haven't. I've never been really interested in it. Since I do a lot of mixing and also for other clients.
You don't want to do Atmos funk like they used to do in the 50s? Just kidding.
Yeah, like if I had to, I would probably get a setup if it came to where you can't be a mix engineer without doing Atmos.
It's a bit of a leap.
Probably get into it out of necessity, but the couple times that I've worked with an artist that needed an Atmos mix, like one was a label project, and they already had an Atmos guy. They're like, "Hey, we just need your mix stems to have him do the Atmos mix." I was like, "Perfect," because I can do it. So
that's what I've been.
But they didn't even ask me to do it. They're just like, send it to him, and I'm happy to. Like, I'd love to do that, and I'm just not. Like, I'm just not interested. I don't know. Like, even like I've gone to like Blackbird when they had which is it, Studio D with all the ATCs in Atmos.
Yeah, the
or E.
I forget maybe E or something. Yeah, it's the one. It's the Massenburg room.
Yeah, and they would demo song like a few years ago, and they had an Atmos mix of a Prince song. Can't remember which
Yeah,
song.
I remember that. When Doves Cry.
Yeah, and I listened. I was like, I don't even really like. I just want to hear. Like, I don't want to hear all this stuff separated around me like this. Or I just didn't. I wasn't like excited. I
think part of that is just that whole process of dissecting familiar recordings is quite different than
that's a good
creating
point.
Something new too. I mean, if you stood in the center of the meters at band rehearsal, you'd be surrounded by instruments. If you saw them from the stage, you'd come at you all at once.
That's true. That would still be all from kind of the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were,
I guess we're never standing in the middle of somebody's band rehearsal that often.
No, I guess it's your own band rehearsal. But yeah, I just not got excited about it or interested. I guess like for certain genres, I could see how it's
How about
awesome.
mono? Do you get excited about mono mixes for funk?
Once in a while, samples are cool to make in mono
stuff,
if you're wanting to make like 60s or even 50s sounding samples.
How did you get excited when Silk Sonic came out?
Yeah, I like Silk Sonic a lot.
Yeah. I didn't really learn a ton about how all those different sounds were recorded, but I got the impression they worked pretty hard to make sure every mic on every instrument did just right thing, had a real vintage quality. And I also don't know whether there was a lot of performed playing that was just done really tightly, or if it's a lot of, again, that careful manipulation of performances, but also, controlled.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more live feel than like Uptown. Uptown Funk's very like rigid, edited.
Yeah.
But Silk Sonic felt like it was more live takes.
Yeah.
Kind of kept that way. And it's definitely mixed, like modern, clean, and I would say. But yeah, I love that.
That was a fun one to discover. Are you ready to launch your career in the audio or entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, right here in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs to prepare you for the industry. From studio production and live sound to audio for film and a whole lot more. You'll learn by doing, working with professional-grade gear alongside experienced industry pros. If you're more into the business side of entertainment, SAE's Entertainment Business Program teaches essential basics like contracts and promotion to help you navigate the industry. With diploma, associate, or bachelor's degrees, there's a path for everyone. Plus, Career Services supports graduates as they take the next step. Want to see it for yourself? Immerse yourself in Nashville's exciting music scene and book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. All right. So one of the questions I was going to ask you about is, from your discography, Q Park's Holla If You Need Me. That seemed like that was a really cool track. And I think you guys had done that together, right?
Yeah.
And also you were just posting a lot about it on social. So
yeah, that's the most.
I assumed it was important.
Most recent song that I put out. So
yeah,
we did that together. We actually just recorded a live version at my studio with a band, and we just got it's a video.
And it sounds just like Silk Sonic.
Exactly like Silk Sonic. And we're gonna get.
Was that with John Radford?
No.
Sorry, John. Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah. There are about 2 or 3 drummers I work with quite a bit.
Yeah.
Derek Phillips, you might know him.
I don't know if I know Derek.
I've worked with him a lot for a long time. And then John, and the guy that played on that video's name's Dee Holt. But yeah, we're going to release that soon as a video. It's like we had a video person do like a multicam, like a legit like performance. Fun, yeah. And then we can also release the audio as a live version and have another asset. I just think it's assets at this point because you're just,
you got to. I mean,
you're just creating audio files that can be used for something, and samples, streaming, sync licensing, all of it. Like, it's from a business standpoint, you're really just building up.
So where does it go when you finish something like that? Where does it go? Does it go on your own label? Does it go to your publisher? Does it go straight to somebody who's talking to library companies? How does that sort of flow for you?
Most of the time, I just release it with the artists and then pitch it to the sync, or try to get in the libraries of whatever sync companies. There's a few different ones I've worked with at this point, and some of them are exclusive, some of them are not. So you can put it in different. So you just got to keep. It's a lot of.
What if it's released and they're exclusive? Do you just exclude yourself from consideration, or not?
No, it's just exclusive. Just means no other company can for sync. So you still have the streaming control.
Okay.
Now, if you like sell the master,
then you'd have to get license from them to be able to use your own song, or have to
maybe, or they might just leave. Like it just, who knows? Like it.
Right. They might just take the streaming income.
Right.
Yeah. And then what about the releasing process? What is that for you? Do you use a particular service yourself? Do you work with a small label to do it? How does that work?
I've always just used DistroKid.
Okay.
It's really cheap, or really low cost to use it, and they don't take a percentage of your stream money. And so as my streams have built over the past few years,
that's been helpful.
Yeah, and some of the other companies have emailed me, like marketing email, or like, hey, would you be interested in coming to our company? And I'd be like, well, I don't want to give 15% of my well, like I would never felt like what they were offering was going to boost anything, or like I think several years ago that was more useful.
Right.
And it still is. Like, I don't know. There's probably reasons beyond what, but I haven't ever felt like I needed to.
Well, if you haven't needed to, you haven't needed to. So, yeah.
Right. And I mean, maybe they can, some of those companies say they pitch to sync, or they pitch playlists and stuff, but I've also heard of it not really doing anything. It's kind of it's kind of like a record deal where, like,
in the end, you kind of have to, if you're going to be an artist, you kind of have to do your own promo, right?
Yeah. And I'm definitely for like giving a percentage of something to somebody if it feels like a good investment, like it's going to make more money than I'm going to make on my own. But I've never felt, it's kind of like a record deal where, like, there's like a risk if you sign a record deal that nothing's going to happen and you're locked in this record deal. But there's also, that
very same thing could happen if you do it yourself.
Well, I mean, that record deal could make you a lot bigger than you can make yourself. So there's always like a risk to any type of like percentage, like working with a company.
Well, there's one guarantee.
What?
If you do nothing will happen.
That is true. Yeah, 0% of nothing is, or 100% of nothing is always zero.
Yeah, exactly. Or what's the Wayne Gretzky one about, like, you never, I don't know, something about every shot you don't take. Okay, cool. And so this is a funny question I just wrote down. I said, what musical era should you have been born in?
Oh, probably the 70s.
Yeah.
I think
you'd have to be playing with other musicians the whole time.
Yeah, I would.
And you might have a little bit of programmed stuff, but not a lot.
Yeah, not really. There's some drum machines they would just use and play along with, or somehow kind of. Yeah. But yeah.
Or tape loops.
Yeah.
Worked for the Bee Gees.
That's true. Yeah.
You ever made a tape loop?
No, I don't have a tape machine.
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like you got interested in this stuff, pretty well. You've been doing it for a while, but still, kind of pivoting back to it again. You like reignited your interest in a very digital environment, like where it's very capable of just doing it digitally. You don't have to go back to old school methods to find sounds and stuff.
And I think about it, especially for sample packs that I want to sound authentic and retro or whatever. And I have some outboard gear and stuff that I use, but it's just not worth, like plugins are so good.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify. I've thought about going into some classic studios and make some, like
I think you'd have a blast doing that.
Well, I've talked, like, Craig Alvin.
Yeah.
He has the 610 console.
Yeah.
And I really want to use it. And I've talked to him about going down there and like just spend a day either tracking, or I could just bring my tracks and just mix them through that.
Yeah.
So I've thought about it. I just haven't.
How might you do it? So let's say you were going to go track somewhere. What goes on? What's some of your thinking about, like, all right, when I leave, I'm going to still do some stuff, but I don't want to feel like, oh shit, I need to go get that thing again from the studio that I didn't get. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like the idea that, if you don't manipulate all the tracks, then when you leave, you just got those tracks and you're just sort of like mixing from there or doing more overdubs. But if you're going to sample things and move things around and do all that.
Well, if I went,
how would you think about it?
Somewhere like that, I would do one of these sample packs that's basically like an album.
Yeah.
So it'd just be compositions that I had already composed and arranged and track, like super old school. So that's basically making an old school record.
That's a good tip for the sample pack session, is like have your compositions ready when you go in.
If you're doing it like that, some people that make this stuff, they just kind of make it as they go. And if they're doing a lot of it themselves or whatever, and if there's their own studio, or like there's no time limit and stuff like that. But if I was gonna do that, I'd have to have everything in order and really make use of the time.
How many musicians would you take down with you?
That would be the hard part.
Use ones down there, maybe?
I'd probably want to take my friends that I work with a lot, which would be at least a rhythm section. And it'd be cool to take horns and do it at the same time.
Yeah. Have you done sessions recently where it's all strangers, and is it a little bit like you feel like you're speaking in another country where you don't quite know the language?
I have felt, no, I don't very often do that. Once in a while I'll work with an artist and they're like, hey, I have my drummer I like to use, and that might be a little different just because I'm not as used to working with them. But
yeah,
it's kind of cool too, just to work with different people, because I do kind of just have my system, and
it's cool to mix it up.
Yeah, but also it's fast. Like I can get the guys I work with a lot together and knock out a bunch of stuff if I have it ready to go and make use of time and really get a lot done. And that moving fast
is an important part for the stuff you do. What are some of your favorite keys for creating and for bass lines?
Keys like keyboards?
Yeah.
For bass lines?
Yeah. And just keys for sounds,
Oh. Well, I have a Mini Moog reissue. I use that a lot for synth bass.
Mm-hmm.
I use Trillion a lot if I'm writing bass parts that will be replaced by a real player. And
tell us about Trillion again.
Trillion, it's made by, what's the company that makes Omnisphere and Keyscape?
Spectrasonics. Yeah.
So
not the original Spectrasonics.
No. So they make Trillion, which is their bass plugin, and it has very realistic bass guitars and an upright. The upright sounds really convincing, and there's some synth basses and stuff in there too. But I mostly use, like, they have a Fender P bass, or maybe it's a jazz bass, some kind of Fender bass in there, and I'll use that to write the parts for a lot of this stuff that I'm going to replace with a real player. And some of the more pop stuff, I've just kept it. Like, it sounds good enough. Like the super modern kind of pop.
Have you really had to learn to dissect how a bass part is played to be able to program it? Because haven't you gone through bits where you like play something and you're like, oh, that's not really the way it would be played on a bass?
Once in a while I've done that. I can play some bass, so I know enough.
You think about it from that context.
Yeah, like I can
find the way to do it
pretty well, like have a good idea. But once in a while I'll play something on a keyboard and they'll be like, that's kind of what a keyboard player would play. Like,
right,
I don't think, or that's kind of hard, or like not.
Yeah. Because bass has to you've got moving up the neck, you've got moving from string to string and what happens there and the different tonality of different strings, all that kind of stuff. Not to mention, the way that you play the note, whether it's sustained or muted or any of that.
Yeah.
Do you, when you do digital bass things, do you sort of mess around with the modifier keys and get into that kind of stuff too?
Not much with like Trillion. They do have a lot of different presets of like muted and different articulations and things. And
yeah,
I might combine, like do a little bit with one sound and then have another track that does this in another section and kind of combine it that way. But I don't do a lot of.
It doesn't have to go down that way.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of like editing with.
Yeah, I don't have much experience doing any of that, so I'm just always curious about, ways that it works.
Yeah.
All right, so dig it. Let me see. Yeah, I guess one of the questions I just wanted to ask you. Well, let me go to this. So this is a good one. Just mixing. Everybody wants to always know about mixing. Talk to us about how you mix when you approach a mix, because your mixes sound killer. All your stuff is just like slamming up here. It's a lot of this upbeat, we'll just call it uptown funk disco, just to give a picture of that kind of upbeat, danceable disco kind of beats, modern funk like that. What's some stuff that you've learned about getting the sound to leap out of the speakers when you do a mix?
Well, I've always been like a pop mixer since I started getting serious about mixing, and I was doing more like pop production that wasn't funk and that kind of thing. And then I was mixing a lot of pop country, which is basically pop. I mean, you just want it to slant, like hit you, like you said, with everything. And so it's pretty much the same for all the genres, the way I mix. I just have a template that I've
do you have to kill me if afterwards if I ask you?
No, but like what's specific? I don't know. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's cool. You just tell her answer it however you want to answer it.
I don't have any secrets really.
Love it.
A lot of parallel.
You do like sub mixes for the drums and bass or anything like that, or is it?
Yeah, I have sub mixes for every drums, bass, keys, guitars, vocals. Yeah. Horns, if there's horns or strings, stuff like that.
And then do the sub mixes tend to get treatments? Something.
Yeah, actually, one thing, my favorite thing for that is I use the Fatso plugin, UAD Fatso on all the buses.
Oh, interesting.
And with the little compression.
And it gives it that sort of a little bit of soaking it up like tape with harmonic.
Yeah, that was what I was going for. And I started doing that years ago, and when I was just kind of experimenting with bus compressors and stuff, and I was like, oh, sounds good, and it's just easy to have this and just adjust the input, and maybe one's like 2 dB of compression on each bus, and it glues each thing together, and then they all kind of glue together.
Is that the UAD plugin?
Mm.
Yeah, I need to get that one. I haven't tried it yet. But UAD are they still doing the thing where some are native and some are, you need the UAD card to process it?
Yeah, you can buy different versions.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have any of the native ones.
That's the only ones I got because I don't have a UAD card or interface. And is that what you use for an interface? Is it a UAD?
Yeah, so I've had an Apollo, the black Apollo, for probably 11 years, and that thing has never failed.
That's cool.
And it's on all day.
That's cool. And then did you ever mess with Luna, the software?
I did a little bit, and it seemed cool, but I didn't really stick with it for anything. But yeah, it seemed really useful, like especially if you're starting out, and it's free if you have an Apollo. So right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what about controllers, faders, things like that?
No, I don't have any. I used to have a Mackie Huey controller a long time ago, and it was just kind of in the way at a certain point.
Well, with a lot of program music, maybe a lot of it is sort of, addressing one thing at a time in that moment anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. When I'm doing a lot of mixing, my arm actually does get a little, like, from just mouse stuff.
Yeah.
And I've thought about, I don't think like a controller would help me much. I've thought about like the Slate Raven before, but I don't know if I've not really tried it, but more for just like my arm, like, like I've thought about some kind of controller, but I don't care about like,
I got into the trackball thing early on, and that's been cool, but same thing now. I noticed that my hand kind of freezes up. I have that trackball, and I used it for about 10 years, and I just stopped using it and got just a regular mouse that has a bunch of ergonomic, like a Logitech something or other. Yeah. And I think it's better for me now. Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound weak and distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift for you to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding a lot more like professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools. And the best part is, these mixing techniques will work for you in any DAW, whether you're in Logic, Cubase, PreSonus Studio One, Reaper, or anything you can think of. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. I mean, in the end, it'd be nice if we could just lean over and grab the 1176 and give it an adjustment there, right?
Yeah, I don't even care. Like, I don't think having the faders and stuff, like, there's no, at this point, I don't like, it's not, I don't romance the, back when I had a huge, like, oh, I'm going to have faders and this is going to be like a console and it's so cool. And
right.
I don't care now. Just whatever doesn't make my arm hurt.
Yeah, totally. So other mixing stuff, you mentioned parallel compression, any faves that you like to use with the drums? Is it usually kick and snare? They kind of get the parallel.
Yeah, and the toms. I usually use an 1176 plugin.
Be a UAD again.
Yeah, UAD. Yeah.
Which one? The blackface?
Yeah, that's the free one. I've never bought another one. If you have an Apollo, there's like a certain amount of free stuff. So I've just always used it.
It sounds great. They sound killer.
Yeah. Sometimes I use the FabFilter. What's that compressor called? C1, I think. Yeah. I use that sometimes for parallel compression, especially on vocals, because it's a little less like noticeable, I guess. It can be more transparent. But I usually have a parallel bus for pretty much everything, like a drums, bass, guitar bus.
You do bass treatments? You sort of like dirty up the bass in the mix and stuff like
usually, that? Yeah.
What's some go-to stuff that helps with that?
Tater. Usually have like a bass distortion send with that. And sometimes I use the Ampeg, the UAD Ampeg plugins are really good.
Interesting. Yeah, I have the Ampeg plugins.
Well, they might be the same.
SVT amp and stuff like that. I use that a lot now.
They might be the same
in the studio.
Algorithm, probably the same.
Yeah, and the B15.
Yeah, I use the B15 and the 70s whatever that one is.
Right, that's the one I like. Yeah, the modern one, I'm like, I just like the old school one.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of that because my studio setup isn't quite big enough space to track with the bass amp without competing with something. So I would just sort of like, well, we'll just take a DI and then I can, dial it in.
Yeah, I've never even wanted to really record a bass cab. I don't know.
It can be fun to do, and in the rock world, I think it's maybe a little more, more desirable because you're basically trying to create that sound of an amp really loud on stage, and find that so it's got the right character sometimes.
Yeah, I DI. I have a lot of Chandler TG2s. I have 4 of those, and those have been my favorite.
Is that the limiter or the?
Those are the pre's. So they're the
pre. Okay.
the Chandler, the pre's. You can get them in the 500 series, but mine are the rack units where there's two on a.
Yeah.
And also, what's really cool is each one of those units has a summing switch.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sum the two pre's. Like if you do a 57 and a Royer on a par cab, just have one, just mix the pre's together and only have one track. So those have kind of been my go-to for a lot of stuff. But I DI a bass through that usually. And then I might drive it just a little if I'm tracking the bass and record it through a Tube Tech.
Yeah, that's cool. Tube Tech's great. Great compressor too.
Yeah, I got that before they were expensive, but not like now. Everything.
That's also the C1, right? Or C1A.
C1A.
C1B.
CL1.
CL1B.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, all that's like some of that stuff's so expensive now. I don't think I would buy it if I like.
It's good that you got it, man. I collected stuff, but I mean, and that's what we do with studios. We get started and we just start collecting things.
Yeah, I have one rack, and I've kind of told myself I can't go beyond this rack.
Yeah,
and if I want stuff, I have to sell something out of here.
And in a way, I think that's wise for you because the more studio stuff you accumulate around what you do, that is in many ways that could also slow down your creative process because you're having too many more choices.
Yeah, the only reason for me to even have multiple stuff is just to leave stuff plugged in.
Right. That's what I've discovered for myself. Now I'm happy that I get a bunch of mics and I'm, maxing out inputs to Pro Tools because I'm like, I just want to leave all the instruments ready to go.
Yep, that's exactly.
It's a little challenging when you're like, I wonder if I should switch the mics on that piano or whatever. But
yeah, I don't. Once in a while, everything I have is kind of purposeful.
Yeah.
Like I have mics on my Leslie. I just keep there now. And
what do you put on the drum kit? What's your go-to for the drums?
So the kick, I have two different mics. I'll change out on the end mic. I have a D12E from the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
And that's really like that splatty, funky 60s sound. And I don't.
And this is a kick with a full front head or a single? Head?
Right now it's off. Sometimes I have the head on, but as a whole. But lately I've been using it off, which is super dead. But yeah, that's a really cool mic, and I haven't found any modern mic that recreates that. Because I'm not even like I don't want a bunch of old stuff necessarily because it breaks, and like if there's new things that sound the same, like I'm not gonna just collect stuff to have. I'm pretty good about not just doing that. So that's one thing that I haven't found any modern mic. That also have a Telefunken M82, their kick drum mic, and I'll use that if I want a more modern, more like.
That's a black sort of side address mic, or no?
It's front address. It looks like it could be side address, but it's front.
Okay.
But
right on. Then what about snares and overheads and stuff?
Snare usually is an M201, a Bear Dynamic.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Or 57. I have some old 421s.
And is the Beyer a ribbon, the 201, or is it dynamic?
It's dynamic.
Dynamic. It is Beyer dynamic.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do make ribbons too, right? And then what was your overhead situation? You said?
Right now, I have the Soyuz 013 FETs, which are awesome. I just got those.
Small diaphragm or large?
They're small, but they're like a little bigger than a normal. They're like fatter, so I don't know if I guess they're small diaphragm. They
They're
look
like a
like
medium diaphragm or something. I feel like my Audio-Technica 4033 was a medium diaphragm.
Oh, I used to have one.
Like that.
Yeah.
Haven't used that in ages. That was like the mic to have, and I haven't even listened to it in forever.
I also have Stager, Stager.
You're right.
I have a pair of SR2Ns that I was using for overheads for.
Those are ribbons, right?
Yeah, and they sound to me like Coles, like basically like Coles. Like
that's cool.
Kind of like Coles for half the price. And
what was the model on those?
SR2N.
SR2.
And They're awesome. I would recommend those. Anybody that wants Coles or anything like.
Yeah, because I've got one Coles, but they're so fragile.
Yeah,
I don't have two. I guess if I had two, I'd probably mic up the stereo drums with them. And I used to use them on the drums more, but I just get tired of replacing the ribbon. It's, expensive. And I was like, I'll just wait till I really want to use it on something. The one place where I've always loved to break it out is percussion.
Nice.
Tambourine in particular. It's just like, it just soaks up all that stuff.
Oh yeah. The stagers, I've used them a lot. Now I have an upright piano that a bald one that sounds really good, especially for 60s sounding like it's really bright.
How do you mic it?
So right now I have the stagers on the piano. I just leave them on there with the front off.
Lift the front so you can see the harp.
Yeah, and they're facing
in.
Yeah. So I had them on the overheads for a long time, and then I was switching them to the piano, and then I got some of those Soyuz. So now I can just leave them all plugged in. Yeah. And I might switch them back, but
do you ever think you'll get would you want to have a grand piano too?
I don't have a space for it really. I've thought about it before, but it would take up like part of the living room in our house, right. It's not really
not necessary.
No, and a lot of the stuff I do, I really love the upright sound and old gospel-y sounding type jangly piano and stuff like that. So I don't think.
You got any use for tack piano sounds?
Maybe, but I just use or whatever. Like I'm not gonna have a tack.
You can, depending on the upright. Brad Jones showed me this. I went into the studio once, and I think he built it. It was just a metal rod that went above the upright across, and then it was a leather strap and then a rivet on it, and it just dangled in there so that you just lowered it in between the hammers and you played it, and now you had a little sort of a tack sound. It probably doesn't have quite the same sound as, the tack in the hammer, which you don't want to do to your good piano. You don't want to do it if you don't want a tack piano.
That's something I would use so seldom.
Yeah.
I'd be like, why is this sitting?
You're not doing enough Beatles space. Tracks, right?
No, not really.
Even then, how many times did they really use it? Was it just once or twice?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Somebody used once on a song. Everybody's like, we got to have this thing.
I got a few things like that in my studio. All right, so this is a question I love to ask all the guests on the show. It's hypothetical, but we get to go back and take the Wayback Studio machine. And you go back and you find young Ryan, and you say, listen, dude, I've come back to give you this one bit of advice. Here's the single most important thing you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. What advice would you go back and give yourself if you could?
Well, one thing, I don't think, like I went to college for recording and you did.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that now.
You went to a cool college because I had, set it up to be that cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great. Like I was going to go to Belmont and I didn't know about MTSU, and they have a program at MTSU for out of state people to get in-state tuition if you work full time.
Oh, interesting.
And so I did that for 2 semesters. I got in-state tuition and didn't have the debt I was going to have at Belmont,
right?
Which is probably the best decision I've
ever
made in my life.
That's what I did. They didn't have a program, so I just lived in Nashville for a year.
Well, yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah.
So even like one of those semesters was a summer semester. I didn't even get set back.
Right.
And I was like going to have a lot of debt, go to Belmont. So that was one of the best decisions I made. But I think, so I had a job after college for 8 years. I worked at the state capitol in Nashville in the AV department, which was mostly video stuff like C-SPAN recording type MIDIs and legislative sessions and streaming them. A lot of it was like
taking it home and doing sample remixes of everything of the day's events.
Like streaming management, like technical kind of IT stuff. I think I would, if I was going to college, I'd probably get an IT degree or something that's way more useful to make money, and then learn recording through like YouTube and experience, and maybe like one of the shorter programs.
Yeah.
That's not really a degree or something like that. And then have a degree to go make money while you build something. Because that's basically what I did. I worked full time for 8 years. I gigged on the weekends and at night, and recorded a lot at night, used like all my vacation days mostly for music stuff, and didn't sleep much like in my 20s when I could do that, and just like built a business and the long-term thing. Yeah. And that'd be easier if I had like a higher paying job. So I don't know if like a recording college is like the best decision for somebody.
Well, an IT or like, anything computer related is just so useful in the studio. Such a useful skill.
And even like if you do live sound, like half of that stuff's like network stuff now, and like Dante and like servers and like all kinds of stuff that's not audio.
Well, and you had learned a lot of music already, so you had that ability to go and tour and play out. Somebody who might not quite have that, but even then, you could just take lessons. You'll just learn an instrument,
Oh yeah. Yeah. An instrument's definitely useful, but I think seems like most people that get into recording
already have
started on an instrument. And
I knew some people, Jamie Tate, who's been on the show. I was fascinated when we were in school, and he told me he didn't play an instrument. I was like, really? You got you wanted to do all this, and you weren't a musician first? So it was really striking to me but he was just loved music so much. He, loves listening, and he became great at making records, Yeah. Really great. Well, dude, thanks so much for joining me on the show. It's been a blast to meet you and hang out.
Thank you.
And Rockstars, please check out his playlist of music and links to your website and stuff like that, and social media. It's all worth checking out. You got some really great TikTok videos and Instagram videos and stuff where you do cool shit like, you watch it and it's like one instrument, another instrument. Oh, it's all looped together, just those kind of classic assembling a track videos as well as other things. And then we'll have that in the show notes. But how would you like the Rockstars to find you and reach out to you? What if they're just like, man, I finally found my retro funk guy,
Well, I have a website, ryanprewett.com, and there's a contact page.
Prewett.
Yeah. That has links to all my music, sample pack store that I have my own little store with all the same stuff I have on the other stores. Contact page if you're interested in working with me.
Cool.
So yeah, that's probably the best. And I'm on Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. And if you enjoyed this too, please drop a like and subscribe so you can get more videos from us. And then leave a comment too if you have any questions about any of this, or you just got comments, or you just want to comment on favorite mics, stuff that you love, or favorite instruments for funk yourself. We'd love to know it. Let us know. Thanks for joining us, dude. And I will see you around the studio, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers, dude. Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors who make this episode possible. Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Atom Audio, Spectra 1964, Grace Design, and Picker. And remember to take advantage of our special coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin purchase at isotope.com or nativeinstruments.com. And don't forget, you can start mixing right now with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, please check out our sponsors using the links in the show notes below. These are all things I highly recommend for your studio. They're going to help you make your best record ever. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because it's a great way to help support this show. And I'd also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars: Vlad Weselchenko, Daria Tupesis, and Max Young. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.